This is Sean, Lonegevity with the New Old Heads podcast, and we just finished recording episode 441. This week, the topics were the Clipse leaked the Kendrick verse. Not necessarily intentionally, but we took the lyrics and we deciphered them, and we tried to find where the problematic part was to where the Clipse and Pusha T are no longer on Def Jam. We also talked about Tyler, the Creator, with a couple interesting statements that he made in his recent interview with thecut.com. One about gatekeeping and the other one about podcasting and how podcasts should be banned. And we ended the show talking about Dame Dash, him losing his assets and his copyrights potentially to Josh Weber, and also Jim Jones, him thinking that he's better than Nas. That and more on episode 441 if you tap into our full uncut episode on patreon.com/newoldheads. Otherwise, tap into episode 441.
You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7. We got a full house today, starting off with my man Jay Moore. How are you, sir?
Doing all right, man. You know, still reeling after a rough Game 7 loss. Congratulations to the fake-ass Sonics.
No. Let's move on.
My man Lonegevity is stationed, but still here. How are you, sir?
What's up, man? I'm doing all right. Okay. Just doing a lot.
There you are. Yeah. Good to see you.
You too.
My man DJ Jay Diff, what's happening, man?
Salutations.
Good to see you as always, brother.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't do special guests. So man, brother to the nice. He family at this point. You know what I'm talking about? Good to see you, brother.
Greetings.
How's everything with you?
I'm blessed, man. I'm sad too.
Yeah, man.
Did y'all see the parade?
No.
What parade?
It was so
weak.
I wasn't supporting anything that has to do with OKC.
Man.
There's no congratulatory efforts coming from my seat. I'm a sore loser at this point.
I'm not congratulating them, but I mean, I saw it and I was like, man, the city would have did it so much better.
Way better. I didn't even see it, but I already know.
But I'm telling you, they were able to freely just ride their bus down the street. It was no people on the side of them.
Really?
Nothing. It was.
They didn't deserve it.
I heard a couple people just being like, woo.
Nah, man, it'd have been lit.
You got to remember,
fireworks and gunshots and man, live.
They would have had the pony police and everything.
Oh yeah, you know when they bring the horsey police out,
it would have definitely been more lit if it was here. I ain't gonna say. I'm not gonna disagree with that.
All kinds of jiggulating.
Yeah. OKC is very. It's they are fortunate, but I mean it's just the Thunder, right? Like in terms of the city, that's pretty much it, ain't it? There's no.
Yeah, that's it.
Shout out to the Pacers for actually picking up Jiggalate and actually playing that inside of the stadium.
Yeah, I was there when they played it at the watch party.
Yeah,
I was thoroughly surprised because they never play nothing from here and there, and everybody did what they were supposed to do too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey man, I think everybody knows now that basketball is different here, and it's not just something that we've been saying, or you hear people say it it's cliche at this point. Oh, basketball is different in Indiana. Yes, I think a lot of people got a chance to really see that it's different here. It's a little different. So, the Clipse leaked the Kendrick Lamar verse from their new record, and I'm very excited about this album, by the way. We've heard 2 records so far. I like both. And there's a video that popped up with the Kenny verse, and I could kind of hear it, but I couldn't hear everything. I know we're going to go through the lyrics, but Pusha T recently explained in an interview how both he and the Clipse parted ways with Def Jam over him not wanting to cut a Kendrick Lamar verse. Since then, this video emerged, and Pharrell and the Clipse were previewing the Kendrick verse that has everybody talking. So let's do a full lyric breakdown and see if we can see why Def Jam didn't want the verse to even come out. So we got I think Lone's got it queued up. Did you guys have any initial thoughts about what you saw from the snippet?
It was cool. I like to hear things the way it's supposed to be heard for once. So like when I'm hearing a snippet that's being played at an event, I can kind of hear it, but I can't hear it the way I want to hear it.
That's true.
So from what I heard, it was a cool verse. It's on par to as far as matching the energy from the last 2 singles. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
The only thing that had me a little perturbed was I didn't see Kendrick rapping the verse. It was them rapping Kendrick's verse. Like
that didn't help, did it?
Nah, like because I want to see the energy he was putting out when he wrote this. When he wrote the verse, you know what I mean. But aside from that, the verse was hard.
Jay, what you think before we go through the lyrics? Just initial reaction.
I want to hear things in the proper context at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not so much time between now when the actual album in full will be released that, I mean, I at this point, I don't want any more crumbs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So hearing and being able to read, no, I want to hear CDQ, if you will, of
you lost a few people with that one.
the verse, CD quality.
Yeah, there
whatever.
you go.
For you young pups.
Yeah, for y'all who's never got online wire and almost destroyed the family computer.
Talk to him. Talk to him.
I want to hear this, and I want to hear the way it's sequenced, and you know, I'm just ready for the album at this point. I don't want any more crumbs. I you know, that's just me though.
Well, they said that they didn't really release this. Like somebody,
I
leaked
heard it.
it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But in that, I guess you can't really take phones in these parties no more. But the sad thing about it was, they were right there in front of their face with the phone recording.
Which kind of tells me it wasn't that big of a deal for them to have the phone anyway. Mm-hmm. Because to me, if I'm in that situation, I'm like, bruh, cut that, you know? So clearly either they were just going off the moment and didn't care, or I don't know. But I'm with y'all. I want to hear it. But Lon, let's can we kind of go through the bias on this one?
All right, eat.
I love when he reads lyrics. I love when he reads lyrics.
Feel free to cut me off whenever, right?
yeah.
I got you.
All right, so I'm not the can. Now again, the relation to this is because this is the verse that essentially got Pusha T and the Clipse off of Def Jam.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why this is super significant. So, but it says, I'm not the candidate to vibe with. I don't F with the kumbaya shit. All that talent must be God sent. I sent your ass back to the cosmics.
I think that's the only thing pertaining to Drake, really, when you go to the verse. Anything, I didn't hear anything else that really could be misconstrued as
Lawsuit worthy.
Yeah.
Other than, so after this,
and
everything
then
else is...
even that segment there can be up to anybody's interpretation on who he's talking to.
That's true.
Because that's just general rap shit. Like, if I'm rapping like
just
I'm
popping
better
my
than
shit.
everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
So this applies to all of y'all.
Yeah.
The things I seen under my eyelids, kaleidoscope dreams, murder, and sirens. Let's be clear, hip hop died again. Half of my profits may go to Rakim.
I like that bar.
That sequence is hard.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
And that's not about ASAP Rocky.
Who said it was about
catch.
ASAP?
I forget who said that. Somebody, or maybe, no, it was, I think it was just a random on the internet, but Mickey Fax posted something on Threads or something that was like, see, this is why. And it was somebody's like, why is he talking about ASAP Rocky? It's like, and Rihanna is like,
It's not just because ASAP's name is Rakim.
yeah.
So
He was named after Rakim.
Yeah.
So Lon is pretty much just
Rakim Allah.
just people talking.
Yeah.
Take the
Okay.
Just
podcast
people.
mics.
People. Yeah.
Yep. How many Judases done let me down? But F it, the West's mine. We right now. Therapy showed me how to open up. It also showed me I don't give up F word. So that, again, he's talking about Judases let me down. The West mine. We right now. Sounds like he's kind of talking about other people that aren't the West, potentially.
Perhaps.
Not getting behind him. I don't know. I don't know if this is. I don't know if this is fully directed. You know,
He could be talking about people in the West and just like, look, fuck it, it's mine now. You know what I mean? Like, because during the battle, Game didn't come to his side. You know, Game stood on Drake's side.
Yeah.
That's why he went at the pop-up show. And you know, he felt some type of way about that. And there was several other artists that felt some type of way about it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I don't know.
those might be the Judases.
But hurt.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Snoop.
Yeah, potentially.
Him and Snoop
Or-
supposedly had squashed everything.
But then again, this could also be like not relevant to the battle at all. Could just be some stuff, you know. All right. But he also said, you know, therapy showed me how to open up. It also showed me I don't give a F, which is kind of going back to the Mr. Morale days. So the previous bar could even have been from before that, realistically. The 2-time Gemini with the genocide. I'm generous however you want it, I'll be the gentle kind. Gentlemen and gangsters connect, the agenda of mine. Move in out of here. Get shit. This shit get gentrified.
That was fire. That was a fire line.
That is actually pretty good.
I like how you.
He has his master now. He has a master now. He knows how to read lyrics.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he walked right over that.
Lone is master reading lyrics with certain words. We'll just say that.
Oh, like move it.
Yeah.
No, just move in. Okay, I got
He
you.
got it. He got it. Yeah, he's a professional. Yeah,
But also, like, that could potentially be Gentlemen and Gangsters Connect, agenda of mine. But move them up out of here, it gets gentrified. It kind of that could potentially be a Drake reference as well.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah.
Because moving him up out the way definitely could. I see the bar with gentrification, right? Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Move. He's not like us. He's the one doing the gentrification of hip hop.
There it is.
Yeah.
Kinda. I mean,
that makes sense.
But I don't think that's what it was. But
It might.
It might not be.
What they say, it might could.
Because that's reverse gentrification. You know what I mean? He moving niggas out.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Point.
That's true. That's a good point.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless it was one of them triple, quadruple
Entendres.
Who knows?
Unless he's saying that's what Drake was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go down the whole rabbit hole with
Yeah.
this, bro.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
All right. Heavy jeans like Genevieve. I don't know what that is. Genevieve. All right. I drop your Pentagon and show up at your gender reveal. Tell him, give me mine.
Now, when he said that on there, that was
because
tight.
the following line is I son in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know the jeans in Genevieve's line. Is that some sort of?
I don't. The only thing that is there
is that gangsters?
The Genovese crime family.
That's what I was wondering.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I maybe I have to hear Kendrick say I don't get it right there.
Yeah,
this is gonna land so much better when we get the what you say, Jay Moore, the CD.
Yeah, for sure.
CDQ. Yeah, it's gonna land so much.
I'll see if I can do it in Kendrick's voice now. All right.
No, we don't need that. We don't need that.
Jeans that are heavy.
Heavy jeans.
A brand named Genevieve's that are heavy. I'm sure. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's probably
never heard of
multiple.
that.
Yeah, I haven't either. But yeah.
And I don't understand. I drop your Pentagon either. Maybe that's
political. What
some
is
sort
this?
of. I don't know. Is this Illuminati stuff? I don't know. I son ins. I am the general. Where my gin and juice? Where's my gin and juice? Excuse me. Every song in the book of Genesis. Let the sonics boom.
Okay.
Genesis.
The car.
Gin and juice.
Well, actually, the beginning of creation, Sonic Boom.
Yeah.
No, because Sonic the Hedgehog was on the Sega Genesis.
Give me that.
Jay Moore with the boom on that one.
Y'all know about it.
Triple then.
Hey,
It's a triple
it's a multi.
quadruple.
That's a multi. Yeah. Ins want the tea on me. Well, here's the ginger root.
Yeah.
I generate residuals. Bitch, get off my genitals.
Praise God.
Scroll.
They said I couldn't reach Gen Z. You effing dickheads. You must be full of ginseng. Here comes the jinx. Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Is it like when you say the same thing twice? Like, you owe me a Coke?
He was going somewhere with the first part, but I don't know about that last.
Here comes the jinx. Yeah. Ain't genetics been synthetic? Screaming they genius. A finger wave. They all fall. Ends as Jenga.
Ain't genetics, been synthetic. Synthetic.
God gave me
Energy.
light, a good year full of.
That's when the video cuts
And then
off.
it cuts off.
And that Sonic bar, Jay Moore. Thank you, sir.
So you trying to tell me I wasn't right?
No, both of y'all was right.
Your Bible knowledge is trash. You just went against Jesus.
I did not. I
For
did not.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
My mama might be watching. I did not. Don't put that on me. My mama might be watching. Hey, I'm talking about that's a double joint though. It's a double, right?
Yeah.
No, we're talking about Sonic, remember? I'll praise Sonic.
Sonic boom.
Crazy.
Here comes the boom.
I gave you
I'm
peas,
just
bro.
giving you a hard time,
I
man,
know
because it's
it.
so easy.
It is. I know it. I
But
know
yeah,
it.
It's so easy.
that was silly how he flipped that.
That is, man. Either way, though, July 11th, this record comes out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk about this joint once we.
Well, I got a question. what in this is so crazy that
Def Jam.
you got to drop Pusha T and Clipse for?
So I initially heard that it began because Kendrick mentioned Trump somewhere in here. Obviously, that's not in
I
these
got cut out, but maybe it was.
It might be in there. So when he said that, Pusha T was kind of like, well, I mean, okay, what? He said he thinks it's just because of the whole Drake situation and them not wanting to be involved in that mess or something like that. But because who cares if you mention Trump? When did that ever mean anything?
I give Pusha,
especially if you're Def Jam. I don't.
Yeah,
I give Pusha T P's for standing on business in terms of not letting them compromise his art and being like, okay, we'll just go somewhere else and get that bag and still put it out. I respect him for that because he could have been the person that was like, nah, we can't put it out and we're going to leave it off.
I don't see him as that type of person.
Exactly. I got to give him his P's for standing on business. I like that.
Okay.
Don't censor my art.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure.
Shout out to the Clipse. July 11th, I believe, is when the record comes out. I am excited. I think everybody else is. So
Let God sort them out.
we gonna see what they talking about. All right, let's.
Very fitting for all of the beef shit that Pusha is addressed in.
He been on a lot of people's
He's been
heads,
doubling
though.
down.
Yeah, kill them all and let God sort them out.
And he's
He been
doubling
on
down on
Travis Scott
everybody
head,
whose
too.
head he on. He's doubled down on what's his name? Travis and
He been on Travis' head. He been on
Kanye.
Kanye's head.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to hear what he has to say about Jim,
Oh yeah.
if he has anything to say at
Who?
all. Jim Jones.
I don't think they.
We're gonna talk about him a little bit later on.
Elephants do not swat flies, but
Facts. All right, man. Let's go to our next topic here. So, Tyler says he thinks that podcasts should be banned. Now we're on a podcast, obviously, so
I
we have
need to hear his point on this.
Yeah, so in the interview with The Cut, he says, I think we give a lot of people who aren't smart and just want attention platforms to be loud and incorrect. And other stupid people follow them. So this is basically his thinking in terms of everybody having a microphone, everybody being able to just podcast and do whatever.
It is free will. You don't have to watch these podcasts and you don't have to pay attention to them. You're rich enough not to.
Well, he actually would go on to say, he says, where are the people with skills? We need electricians. We need more drummers, painters, teachers. Everybody
we do that too.
Everybody with a mic is crazy. He's like, everybody with the mic is crazy. He's like, I think that shit is gross.
Well, I mean, look, there is a tradition of people being loud and wrong.
True.
one of them is in the office.
Yeah, and the thing is, so a lot of and that tradition was started way before there was a thing called podcast. I understand where maybe he's coming from because he might have heard some, foolishness on somebody's podcast. Not this one. We were very excited about your album, Tyler. But I think also, let's just be real. The cream rises to the top. There are a lot of people who have started podcasts or quote unquote have platforms, and they thought they were going to be next, this, that, and third. We haven't heard anything from them. All right. And I'm talking about famous people. I'm not talking about, the guys like us who, wanted to start a little platform. It was a really thing for us to make something happen. I'm talking about the people they've given famous people podcasts and they didn't know what they were talking about.
True.
And, at one point Spotify was throwing money at a little bit of everybody, just so they could say that they had the content.
People still start athletes, musicians. Everybody got a podcast now.
But when a lot of people realize they're not going to be, Gil's Arena or The Pivot,
Yeah.
and then they realize, it's also actual work that's going to take away time from my family or what I really want to be doing, even though this is just a trend for them. Like, we talk about these platforms as if it's something that, once again, you said it, you don't have to watch, you don't have to listen. I remember at one point I was a fan, and I'll just call people out. I was a fan of Brilliant Idiots. And then, I don't know, it just got to be something where I'm like, all right, this is something else now compared to when I started listening to it. So I stopped watching Brilliant Idiots. You know what I'm saying? And dude, I filled it in with other people's podcasts.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when people just talk about anything that they don't like.
Yeah.
Like
That's it right there.
Yeah. Like when it's like, I don't care about the Kardashians. I don't care about whatever it is that they're doing. I couldn't tell you apparently they have another show. They don't do Keeping Up with the Kardashians because I referred to it as that. And they're like, oh, it's just the Kardashians now. I was like, I wouldn't know.
Care less.
Because it's like, that's not something I choose to pay attention to. So there is so much content out here in whatever the atmosphere that whatever it is that you don't like, there are so many other options for you to pay attention to, or you could ignore them all.
Yeah.
If you don't,
that's one of the keys. That's one of the exact problems that I was going to say, and you touched on it, is people love to highlight the bullshit. Just like last week with the Pacers being in the finals, they big up this chick, this white chick rapper.
Whoa.
That's supposed to be like the biggest rapper coming up. And it's trash. It's trash, but it got the most play out of everything. It's bullshit.
Hate views though.
Yeah, hate views, but hate views add up.
It counts as views.
You know what I'm saying? It counts as views. So it's not necessarily up to the podcast or whoever that you don't agree with. If you like some, boost it up. If you don't like it, don't share it. Just let it go.
Do you guys think that
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead, B.
I think people are more likely to respond to something that they don't like as opposed to something that they do. You know what I mean? Like, if it's something that they actually like, they'll just click the button and just go on about their business. But if it's something that they really have a problem with,
they'll make a post about it.
A comment about it or whatever, because I've got to let you know that I do not with this.
Well, no, I mean,
I fall victim to that sometimes.
Look, whenever I have, I take Uber on a pretty frequent basis, and if the person just gets me to where I'm supposed to be on time, they get 5 stars. Probably drop them, a little tip or whatever. The only time I've ever written anything out has been when somebody was in an accident. I think this dude couldn't read or didn't have on his glasses or whatever.
Cologne laughs at the guy that can't read.
I was like, at one point, I gave him 2 stars just because, well, I'm still alive. That's the only, but I had to let him know. I was like, yo, this person doesn't need to be out on the road doing this. Maybe they should only drive during the day. I don't know what it was, but it was like, this was the, I was in an accident in an Uber. I mean, it wasn't his fault, so it was cool. But then, there was somebody who was supposed to come pick me up the other day, and I was like, hey, you still on the way? I was, because you can text him, whatever. He's like, oh, man, I got hemmed up by the police.
Oh.
I was like, okay, I'm going to have to cancel this.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay for it. So I had to write out a whole thing because a lot of times that's the only way you can get. Same thing with DoorDash. The only time I've written a review on DoorDash is when they forgot to send me my hush puppies or something.
There's some scammers out there.
So I mean, like a lot of times when people do stuff the right way, yeah, we just maybe we'll say something about it. But when you mess up, that's when you get the feedback.
So Lone, I got a question.
Okay.
As you read Tyler's comment, right? Is this a situation where he is saying that he cares without saying it? Because the way that he's talking about this, it's coming from a place to me where somebody that actually cares about the space.
To be honest, this and the last thing we talked about, it seems kind of reactionary to me. It seems like Tyler's a little conservative out here. It's not that I don't necessarily agree with him that not everybody needs a podcast.
Okay.
Because that's true. Not everybody needs a podcast. I am a strong believer that not everybody deserves a public opinion. I know that's controversial.
Second that.
But at the same time, caring? I don't know. I think he just doesn't want the noise to be as loud, maybe.
Okay. I like that. I'll take that.
And so I can understand it, I guess.
But they're the same people who are like, talk about the whole manosphere, whatever that's supposed to be now. It's a whole bunch of women who think, yeah, they should stop selling podcast mics to men. There's always somebody who's going to be like, hey, I don't want to hear anybody else's opinion about whatever it is that they feel is important.
I mean, I think that goes both ways when we talk about men and women, because hell, B. Simone going through it right now for what whatever
set herself up.
Yeah. So for me, as a person that has been loud and wrong on a podcast before, you got to give people room to grow.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because
That's fair.
I know when I first started podcasting in 2015, there was a lot of ignorant stuff that just came out my mouth. And there were people that happened to come and follow me. You know what I mean? But from some of the stuff that I said, just because they found me entertaining. But
He's ignorant. Let's follow him.
Honestly, that's how it works.
Or I made you laugh and you thought I was funny. You know what I mean? But in the midst of all of those things, I learned through conversation with people and life experience.
Yeah.
And my opinion changed. You know what I mean? So that does not make me less entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, I can still entertain through these pod microphones. You know what I mean? So, and I'm happy to be here on this illustrious podcast with you fine gentlemen. You know what I mean? So, give people room to grow, man, because like this.
Are we going to give Trump room to grow? Because he's loud and wrong.
How much room does he need?
When he gets to when you get to his age,
point.
he is who he is. You know what I mean? Like,
There's no more growth. Yeah, he is who he is, 100%.
I was just saying that to be saying that.
I still have certain opinions that I do not share publicly. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But
Yeah, some of our conversations before the show happens will never be recorded.
That part.
You know
That
what I mean?
part.
But at the same time, like, I am wise enough now to know that all of my opinions do not have to be made public.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
Like, there is a saying, that I learned on the podcast before of COE, content over everything. And that's not necessarily true in today's climate. You know what I mean? You have to gatekeep what you say.
I see where you're going.
You know
I see
what I
where
mean?
you're going.
So, you have to be, I say, be genuine in what it is that you have to say. But at the same time, everything does not need to be on a public platform.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
You know what's crazy?
Learn when to shut the up.
Go ahead, Lone. I'm sorry.
Respectfully.
I was just gonna say, to me, like if you can, I don't have a problem with people being genuine.
Mm-hmm.
To me, and this is something that I practice myself. I try to at least at least be open to where, like, if you are wrong, you can accept that information. And like if I'm gonna be out here being foul and stupid, and somebody's gonna be like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that, then I should probably react in a specific type of way. Then I'm not contributing negative to society or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Right? To me, that's the bad part of it. And to me, that's also where I also feel where Tyler kind of needs to just accept the things of what they are. Like, we're in a space right now to where people can talk. People can have microphones. I get frustrated. I get more frustrated at the comments of people saying, why do the unoriginal comment of, man, they should make podcast equipment more expensive. It's just like, don't watch.
Yeah, I'll say this much.
Not even towards us. I'm talking about in general.
I'm saying this specifically to Tyler. In 2015, when I first started podcasting, I would have never given Tyler's music a chance. You know what I mean? But through life experience and conversations with people that, come from a different background than me.
And people you respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, credible people.
My opinions have changed on some things. You know what I mean? That I'm a lot more receptive to, certain different ways of life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just growth.
Yeah. So, look, Tyler, shut the up.
No, I mean, like, I just remember when I first heard about Odd Future, they tried to compare it to Wu-Tang Clan. I was like, no.
They try to compare.
I ain't gonna lie. That's not really too far-fetched.
Be careful, man.
Well,
be
nah,
careful, man. Be
It's
careful.
It's not too far-fetched, man. When you look at the branches from the Odd Future, from when it goes from movies, TV, all of those things, man, it's not too far off, man.
So,
But when you told me that in 2000, they were trying to already make them the new Wu-Tang Clan in 2015.
that part.
So that, I mean, and it's earlier than that. Like, so that's where sometimes, but that's Look, man, I've said this on my show. On this show. Is that you don't date. Actually, you don't marry your opinions. You date them. All right. And once new information is introduced, then, okay, your ideas and opinions can update. But at the same time, you don't marry those updated opinions either. Okay. You don't marry any idea. You don't marry any opinion. Not when you have the option to date them and make adjustments based on new information.
These podcasts is gonna happen regardless.
You can't stop it.
Yeah, you can't stop it.
You cannot stop it. You cannot stop it. You can't
say the same thing about music. I mean, he is a professional musician. He could say that they need to stop giving all these people radio time and giving them deals because, I mean, compared to what he does and some of the shit that comes out, I mean, it doesn't align with what he likes.
Bro, you ate a roach.
Huh? Oh, well,
shut up.
That was a fire video, though.
That video was fire.
And the song is fire.
Yeah.
But the video is very interesting. But, I mean, at the end of the day, people are going to do what they're going to do. This podcast equipment is going to stay on sale. Mm-hmm. People are going to buy it. They're going to feel like, well, they're going to do it, and then they're going to retire, and somebody else is going to come along and do the same thing. So, I mean, I kind of just feel like he had an interview, and they didn't have a lot to talk about.
I add this. People are going to do what they need to do to get on.
Yeah,
just like you did.
They're going to shake ass.
It's the same concept.
That boils down to people saying a lot of shit that and having opinions that are stupid. Mm-hmm. And people do that on purpose, trying to get out.
That's what I was going to say earlier is you spoke to, I think Lone mentioned it as well, talking about being genuine. I will push back to say that a lot of this shit is not genuine. It's for what he just said. It's about clicks, views, likes. How can I get lit so I can get to the bag?
Jim Jones?
Jim Jones is
we're going to get there. But yes, like, I don't think a lot of this stuff is genuine. Now, you have your upper echelon podcasts or content creators that's
what it is.
You can tell that's what it is.
It all boils down to content. They don't care what the content is.
Yeah.
As long as somebody eats it up.
But there are some people. There are some people that are out here that are 100% doing what's necessary.
Yes.
Just to make content.
Absolutely.
Point blank. Period. And like Lone said, we can't stop it. So just pay attention to what you can control.
I think that's just the growth that I had is like, I used to like hate certain types of music and certain types of things, but then you realize it's like you can't control
it. Yeah.
So just focus on the stuff you do like, promote the stuff that you do like, amplify the stuff you do like, and just ignore the rest of the stuff. That's all you can do as a person, unless you want to be like a weird, I don't know, dictator or something. Like
no, it's super it's super counterproductive to just complain about a whole like trash music. Like for what?
Yeah.
Like there's 10 artists you could be talking about. That's
definitely growth on your part if you're saying that.
I used to be that person.
I guarantee somebody's gonna drop something and you're gonna talk about that Friday.
Yeah.
A 15-minute classic.
Oh, I hate those.
I'm really ready to put a bet down that he's gonna make one of these posts before
I
the
hate
year's
24-hour classics. That's my number.
Wait till he's gonna forget about it.
Yeah, that's number one on my list.
Yeah, he's gonna forget.
Let's run the partners.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member. All details on newoldheads.com.
Dame Dash, we all know Dame, Rockefeller. Dame is losing his copyrights to satisfy a $823,000 debt. Dame has been in the news for losing his copyright and his companies to satisfy that debt, which is actually $823,284. He owes those funds, to a filmmaker named Josh Weber. Should Dame Dash's ongoing financial and legal issues, particularly the forced sale of his assets, impact his credibility as a proponent of financial independence and anti-establishment ideals in the eyes of aspiring artists and entrepreneurs? Now, if I was to boil that into one thing, you know where I'm going.
I'm going to say no, it shouldn't. But at the same time, you have to work for somebody sometime.
Good point.
You know what I mean? Like, especially, Dame, you f***ed up out here, bro. Shake some ass.
We just talked
Have
about
some
content.
dignity.
Yeah, you
You
got
don't
tell
want to
someone
shake
to
no
shake
ass,
ass
though.
and
You
then
ain't got
have
to tell
No,
me
I'm
shake.
saying you shouldn't shake ass.
Yeah,
Have
that's a
some
grown
dignity.
man. Oh yeah, don't have him shaking ass.
No,
though.
he got to do something because, like, you're not making no money, bro. You're not making. If you got to sell off all of these assets right now, you know what I mean, to the point where you are out. These are the only things that are genuine. These are the only things that are generating money for you. You know what I mean? Like, bro, you've got to do something to get paid. And I know you doing a little. You can't use somebody else's name either to try to do that either, because you know every time, or as of recent, you know, Jay get in trouble or whatever, he get on these podcasts and he bring up something about Jay. It's not working, bro. Got to go out here and hustle for your last name, not your first. But you got to work for somebody else too. Like so
He need to work for his son selling them cookies.
man, you got to do something, bro.
Okay, that's petty. So that's petty. Let me throw this.
I ain't never seen them.
Who?
Them cookies.
That's petty too.
I'm just saying, like you got the game and you got the knowledge. Your son got these cookies. You've done it before. Jay said it.
Make another hove.
Yo, the bravado on that interview though it's gonna be in history. Like we'll never. That's one of those ones, if you will, from the Breakfast Club.
Dame Dash's fall off might be studied.
I'm glad. I'm glad you said that because
All respect to Dame Dash for what he's done.
100%.
But like the last 10, 15 years.
the reason I'm glad you said it, Lone, because I was going to throw out. We've been outside long enough to see the rise and the fall.
What he's done cannot be like. You can't take that away from him.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? And I
Agreed.
think, but that's kind of like, what's the Hove bar? That's where it stops. You know, like
Yeah.
he tried to put on some artists from Indianapolis recently. He came to Butter. He's done some. He's around. He's doing things. But part of this like $823,000 of assets is he's losing state property. Every time Dame talks, I take it with a grain of salt. You know, it's just kind of like there might be some gems in there, but it just seems like he's been falling on bad times. And why he's falling on bad times, I don't know if it has. It seems like some part of his business acumen is lacking.
Self-inflicted.
It might be self-inflicted. It might be related to his ego. It might be related to what he's projecting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just what I take from it. So
I mean, and this is where I Dame Dash is so important to the culture.
Facts.
And it's hard for me to see him in this way because you know what? When nobody else believed in Jay-Z, he did. You know, he was one of those people that believed in Kevin Hart. You know, putting him in, what was it, Paper Soldiers?
Yeah.
Paper Soldiers.
When he was, you know.
And Death of a Dynasty.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're talking about, you know, Lee Daniels. There are all these people that Dame Dash has essentially, you know, done things for or worked with who have gone on to do whatever they've been able to do. Now, I don't know what those relationships were. Maybe Dame Dash said something to where.
He said Lee Daniels owing money.
He did.
I mean, you know, and
He
so
paid
that,
him.
okay.
Oh, well.
You
Case
know,
closed.
you know, because I remember at one point, you know, he had done I think that was the movie The Woodsman with Kevin Bacon. That was the Lee Daniels situation. And I know he stood up for against Weinstein when nobody else would say anything about him. You know, so Dame Dash is important to the culture. I don't want anyone to get that messed up. And we have to give him his props for believing in so many people when no one else did. When no one was trying to give Kanye West a record deal. Dame Dash was like, let's go. When it was,
he stayed with Jay.
He did.
You know,
choices.
And so I don't know what these choices are about. It may not even really be my business, but I'm just saying
I do.
that Dame. So I hate to see it, but at the same time, like there's also a situation where like, hey man, the same people you see up on the way up, they say it all the time. The same people you're gonna see on the way
Jump
down.
in, B. What'd you say?
They got rid of the reason they had to get rid of Dame, man, is just because he was so abrasive in nature, man. You know what I mean? Like, I understand standing up for your people, but sometimes you can't go in there and talk to these people like this sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, you look at those videos.
Yeah, here's a little rah-rah.
Yeah, like you could look at the videos of him on the Hard Knock Life documentary.
Mm-hmm. The backstage.
Yeah, backstage. Yeah. You could actually,
when he's screaming on Kevin Lyles. I remember that specifically.
Yeah.
That one right there is
The Blackout. There's several,
Fade to Black.
Yeah, there are several instances where Dame, like, man, you just can't go in here and talk to these people like this, man, because essentially, yes, they your partners, quote unquote,
But you work for them.
man.
Yeah, but you know what? Those people were wrong. You know what I'm saying? They when I know the part where he ran into Def Jam's, they had a whole meeting without him. You know, and that's not even something. I think it was just his footage that he had.
Say your piece. Say your piece and shut the up. The thing is, he go in there and he scream on them for 20, 30 minutes, man. You don't have to do that.
Maybe
You
it's
know,
just.
but Kevin Lyles was wrong for giving everybody a Def Jam
Yeah, I mean,
jacket when it wasn't a Def Jam tour.
yeah, I mean, there were some wrong things that were done, but somebody with the mind of Dame Dash, there should have been somewhere in there where he shouldn't have to be selling off all these assets. He should have found something else or partnered up with somebody else versus going on a Chitlin circuit tour talking about Jay trying to accumulate income to save shit.
But that's why Jay had to remove himself from Dame.
Right, now I understand that.
You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
because, like, bro, I can't bring you into these Fortune 500 corporations and you continue to talk to these people like this. You're like, understand? Yes, I understand. We are great. We are doing
The
business
culture.
like this. Yes. But this is not going to work in here like that. You can still get your point across without talking to these people like
Well,
that.
the thing about it was, I think that was the plateau for Dame, and Jay-Z seen other things. He was like, I don't want it to stop here. I want it to keep going. He had even told his label mates and people signed to him that there's certain things that I'm not going to be involved with anymore because I can't be involved with that anymore.
True.
Memphis Bleak just talked about that. He is like, and a lot of the artists didn't believe him. He was like, whatever, he just talking, blah, blah, blah. And then when it happened, it was like, damn, this dude left us like that. He told y'all what he was going to do. Pretty much that if y'all
Straighten
want
up and fly right.
to ride with me, then you're going to have to do it like this. And Memphis Bleak was even like, I wasn't doing right like that. So, I mean, he had to do what he had to do. I mean, it is what it is, man. But with Dame, he's an absolute pioneer when it comes to setting a blueprint for what a label could do in the late 90s, early 2000s.
True.
That has now evolved, and he didn't evolve with it. So now he's left behind trying to figure some things out because some of those investments that he made trying to be a boss and a CEO didn't pan out and didn't work for him.
That's the thing that really sucks about it, though, because, like, hell, he's had some success prior to that. You know what I mean? Like, him and Currency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That situation went sour. You know what I mean?
There's
Like,
lots of things. The CEO brand. I know somebody that bought the CEO brand shoes and shirt. It took 3 or 4 months for him to get these shoes. He said once he got the shoes, they were trash.
yeah.
It wasn't the same material that it looked like online. I mean, these are businesses that you're running, and you're you know what I'm saying, is a CEO kid or kids, whatever you call it. But at the end of the day, it's not a representation of what you were promoting. And then I didn't get it in a timely fashion, and it wasn't what I expected.
I mean, it's Dame is. We talk about legacy. His legacy as a executive in the Rockefeller movement, that's undeniable.
No, it is.
You'll never be able to take that away from him. But a lot of things that have come with him in the past, like after Rockefeller, is perception versus reality. Because it sound good when you get on the interviews and you're talking about, I own this and I own that and I have to work for the man, all that. It sounds good.
Hey, bro said he had an oil company.
Come on, man. He said, I'm a tycoon.
Look, I remember I tried to buy, he had the Dusko whiskey.
Yeah.
I tried to buy, but there was a whole thing about shipping like over state lines. There's a weird thing about whiskey.
It was going to take 4 months to get it.
It wasn't even that. It was just about like if you don't have a certain level of distribution through these major companies, you're not going to be able to get things over state lines. The liquor game is crazy. But I was interested enough to where I wanted to support him. I was like, okay, if he got that, I'll have that. I remember on the same website, it was like, okay, get the Dusko sweatshirt, but like they didn't have my size at that time. And when I kept checking back, they never had it, And so like, there's a lot of good ideas there that maybe if he'd have partnered with somebody as opposed to trying to do it himself. Like I remember seeing him on I think he was talking to Snoop Dogg about a movie, and Snoop was like, yeah, I got this money from this person. And he's like, oh damn, what? I tried to pay for the whole thing, and I get why, because on a cultural level, especially within hip hop, so much we don't own what we're supposed to own, but it's because like someone came along with a deal and we were so happy to sign and be in the game that we didn't realize that we didn't own the songs, we didn't own the publishing, we didn't own the 7th, 3rd. And so like I understand where Dame's mentality is. I'm gonna put my own money up, and whatever happens, I'm gonna own it. But a lot of times when you see this with other entrepreneurs, it's hard to talk to somebody who owns 50% of something and then listen to somebody who owns 100% of nothing. And that's what a lot of times happens in the game. I don't want to call what Dame Dash owns 100% of nothing right now, because hey, I remember looking at the CEO joints and like I wanted to support him, but I'm like, okay, well, how do I stream your situation or whatever? But I was like, nah. He has good idea. I mean, look, he tried to put out an MP3 player. I remember he had the rock box.
Sure did.
I remember when they bought, even though it was harsh, that Armadale vodka, back in the day.
Man, I was going to bring that up.
We was so into whatever they were doing.
They were smart.
I was willing to try to give it a chance, even if there was already something else in the marketplace that was like that. But, at a certain point, you have to have an idea that's so good. And sometimes that good idea has to be a partnership with somebody.
Yeah,
I know.
I think
I think that him wanting to do everything on his own, I appreciate what he's trying to do, but I understand why it doesn't always work, especially when we're talking about, a multinational, multi-whatever situation where nobody does anything alone anymore.
Yeah, I think a part of it too, which was unfortunate for him, was his divorce from Rachel Roy.
Tore that ass up.
They had a company and a lot of assets together that in turn went to her. So he lost a whole lot during that divorce. Now that could be responsible for his downfall or decline, to be honest with you. So I mean, you got to kind of give him some grace with some of this shit, but in the same token, entrepreneurship is hard.
Yeah.
So imagine they say more money, more problems. He had a whole lot of money doing this entrepreneur shit and lost a whole lot of money doing this shit too. So, I mean, I don't know, man.
Hey, some people want to bring up his spending habits. I'm like, man, that's not, okay, maybe you can attribute some of it to that. But at the same time, like when you are doing other things and then you just look around, you might be doing 10 things. You only need one of them to pop. Just like most big companies, they have something that's a loss leader.
I think,
but at the same time, when you got 10 things and none of them pop, that's what happens. That's what's happening with Dame right now. He just didn't have that one thing that popped.
But he's not a company. He's a person that has ideas.
There we go.
And that's where I'm a person with ideas too. I have a bazillion of them, and I know what it's like to get too stretched out on a whole bunch of ideas. Mm-hmm. You guys are just mentioning all these things that Dame's been a part of. I haven't heard of half of these things. Like, it's like, why do you have so many things? Like, why do you have?
Because you just need one of them to work.
Well, but it just seems like he's an idea person.
Yeah, he got his own cable network.
And okay.
Lowe's like, okay.
But why? Like, why? Like, just do a couple things that work really well. I think even bigger than that, it's like, You get in your own way when you're not a likable person.
Now that's the bar.
And Dame, even though like he has a lot of respect for the things that he's done in hip hop, and like everybody said, people wanted to support him through a lot of this stuff. Like he comes across as an asshole more times than not. He comes across as a know-it-all more times than not. He comes across as somebody who is going to tell you how to do it even if he hasn't fully executed his idea more times than not. And I don't think that he's not really good at what he does, but half of being a good businessman is being likable. And if people don't like who you are in those rooms, like you were mentioning, Byron, like how are you going to get from here to here? You know, so I don't know. I don't know Dame personally.
Good point, Long.
I don't know what that's like, but just from observing from the outside and knowing who this guy is for the last 25, 30 years, that's what I get from it.
No, look, man, as much as I've tried to put on for Dame here, I think one of the worst things he did was that Breakfast Club interview when he was talking about equity and cookies and how could you like calling another man daddy. I was like, whoa. Like, do you know how many men went out and did things that they didn't want to do because they wanted to support people that they cared about?
Yep.
You know, and just because they didn't take some of that time. And I took offense to that very much because I felt like he was talking about my father and my grandfather who, you know, got up in the morning and maybe worked for people, but made a great life for their families.
Yeah.
And so, like, was he wrong as far as wanting to hustle for your last name and create something for yourself? No, he wasn't. But the way he said it was so offensive. And I think it turned so many people away from him that I bet if he could have that interview back, he would take it, you know, talking about equity and cookies. But I got it at the time. But at the same time, the things you said about these people having jobs where they support their families, you made it seem like they were doing something dishonorable. And that was something that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
But Jay, when you're a narcissist, when you're an asshole,
oh my God,
you don't care about that. I don't think he takes that back. Even in his current situation right now with everything that's coming down.
Because he meant it.
He meant that. Like, that's who he is. When a person shows you who they are, let them show you who they are. That's consistently who he's been this whole time. And you could see people, to Lone's point, I can imagine the side meetings, man. He's got some great ideas, but I don't want to deal with him. He's got some great ideas, but I don't want to deal with him.
There's somebody else in that original campaign that's going through the exact same thing right now. His name is Kanye West.
See? Yep.
So and he said, "Why you think me and Dame cool? We assholes."
Well, that he's shown us who he is over time. So no, I don't think he would do it different. If anything, he'd probably turn up even more if he could.
Maybe I'd like to think maybe I'm shooting Dame too much bail.
You're shooting too much bail right now on that
like,
part.
you know, if he there, because a lot of times people who are quote unquote assholes, they say, "No, I don't take back nothing. I do this, that, and the third." I was like, but you know, if you really broke them down,
come on,
it was like, do you really want to be that much of a jerk out here? You know, do you really just have no empathy or understanding for people who live and create differently than you, that you just don't understand? Like, I would like to think that Dame has some contrition and some, I mean, like, because, you know, he's being humbled, unfortunately, in front of the entire world every day.
But this ain't the first time.
You're acting like how Terry acted about Kanye for the first 6 years.
Maybe, yeah.
That's
You're
a
right.
very good one. That's good.
But, yeah.
Hey, man.
Terry came home, though. He came
eventually.
home. He came home.
It hurt.
He came home, though. I give him that.
I don't have anything else to say after what Lone said. I mean, I think that summed it up.
Yeah.
I hope he succeeds.
Like, if anybody, like, once people put that asshole label on you, man, and they just don't like you.
Yeah.
Part of doing business is actually liking the person that you're doing business with. And if we can't get along, you know what I mean? Unless there's some dollar signs, like, I might do it if the amount is substantial enough.
But even then, you're gonna be conflicted because you're gonna be like, man, I'm getting this bread, but I hate this. I hate this person. You know what I'm saying? I hate
he ain't got
dealing with
enough
this
to spend. I mean, just like, he has enough money to pay a bunch of people to be a yes man.
True.
Pusha T pretty much was like, I hated working with that dude. You know what I'm saying?
I respect him for it.
You gotta have money. You gotta have money to play. Dame doesn't have the same money to play anymore, and it's showing in his businesses and his failures.
Because when he was up, he was the same person he is now.
It's the same shit.
But when he was talking about them jackets and stuff, he was up. So it hits different when you're up.
But I mean, this is the thing where it's so hard for people to feel sorry for you when you basically shows like, oh no, I never wear the same pair of socks twice. I take socks off and throw them in the trash.
That part.
Like that's kind of hard for somebody who's worried about the price of eggs. And you want them to feel sorry for you, or I don't even think Dame wants us to feel sorry for him.
No, you got to understand too.
I take that back. He don't want us to feel sorry
broke
for him.
and somebody rich is a different type. It's not the same
Talk
broke
to
as
him,
somebody
Because
really.
he probably still got a pool.
Talk to him.
I mean, he still got money. He still has. You know what I'm saying?
He's got assets.
He's not poor.
Talk to him.
Same way with MC Hammer. MC Hammer went broke, but he didn't go regular broke.
Yeah,
he went rich people broke. That still means you have millions of dollars.
Yeah, Hammer's not. He ain't hurt.
Donald Trump.
Yeah,
he was supposed to have
gone
gone
broke
broke
a lot of times.
Yeah, exactly, but he's not broke.
At the end of the day, we can end it here. But at the end of the day, we can separate the two. Dame's business ventures and his personality have affected his, career or whatever. But we also know what he has done, and we can never take that from him. I think everybody agrees with that.
He doesn't have any scandals or anything like that would make anybody just disown him totally from what he's done.
And if anything, he's been too much of a stand-up dude, which is a messed up thing in this society to where, when you tell people the Weinsteins ain't shit, before everybody else knows that, you wind up being a pariah. But it was like, I told y'all.
But it's in the delivery too.
It is.
And his delivery is just horrible. It's just like.
It's always been horrible.
I mean, it's who he is.
That's why I think if he really could, he really would take back that Breakfast Club interview where he was screaming on DJ Envy and Charlemagne and telling them like, y'all got a daddy because you don't own this radio station. Like, I think he would take a lot of that back.
Well, I know Dame dropped a new project. I think it's his rock band and Freeway's on it.
Yeah.
The album, I think it's called 365. So, if you're rocking with that, check it out.
If you want to donate,
if you want to donate, I ain't trying to be that person.
That's pretty much.
No, I didn't word it that way. Don't do that.
Look,
I didn't word it that way.
1-800.
Don't do that, Long. I didn't do that. I'm just saying. I want to give him his peas though. They put the project out.
If you genuinely mess with Dame Dash,
go cop that.
Go ahead,
and
and show him some. Don't just be like, oh man, shout out to Dame Dash. Yo, go listen to a new
shout out
project.
to Freeway. We full with Freeway.
What is Dame doing on this? Just A&R.
He has to get in, music now.
Yeah, he got his own band though, for real. Though.
What is he doing in the band?
And I think he's still
singing.
Kitty Red.
I'm not interested in this.
I'm not interested.
He's still with Kitty Red?
I think so.
Well, shout out to Freeway is on this joint, so I think he's the featured rapper or whatever on the project. So salute to Free. And if you rock with Dame, go cop that.
I'm interested to hear what
we ain't gonna be haters.
I'm interested to hear what it actually sounds like. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That's fair. That's fair.
I want to hear what Freeway is talking about.
I do.
Freeway, yeah, but Dame, I don't. Why?
No, I don't think.
Why
I
would
think
I
he's
hog
just
tie?
the executive.
He's on the album cover.
Why would I?
I'm not really interested in what Freeway got to say right now if it has to do with Dame.
That's fair.
Respectfully. And that's just because I know the quality of music that I've received from Dame in the last 10, 15 years has been
What has he gave us?
Kitty Red.
Black Rock.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's Black Rock.
Yeah.
This is the same. This is the same joint, but it's just got Freeway on it.
So he's got other joints like that.
Ass.
Oh well, I'm new to the party then.
I remember him and after that situation with him and Freeway. I mean, him and Currency went sour. Black Rock.
Yeah.
Became a thing, and I remember this was two Doughboy days.
I don't even remember.
Then.
Yeah, I listened. I was listening to the first project on there, and I was, nah.
Yeah, well, it's a new Black Rock project.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Well, the project,
or Rose Rock, I think. I might be wrong. I don't know.
The project is a collaborative LP with his band, the Black Guns and rapper Freeway.
Okay.
So that's what the original press release is. So it's called 365. It's on wax. I saw.
Maybe it's great. Maybe it's not.
God bless.
What else we got?
All right.
Good night.
Jim Jones thinks he's better than Nas. Right? So Jim Jones has been in the news for. I'm gonna explain it.
To be clear, he's speaking strictly from Billboard standards.
That's wrong.
I got a video for us to watch.
Yeah, we have a video. He's still wrong, but we're gonna watch this video. We're gonna discuss because he's still wrong.
Ask you a question, Jim. You smoke, right?
Yeah.
Were you smoking when you said you better than Nas?
I might have been a little bit. Well, as far as let's get this right. I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that
but listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. we appreciated him. He had a little bit of run. But Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like,
Ain't no shame in that. There a lot of folks came up second to Tom Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album. I already told you, I used to want to dress like Nas because he had a lot of fresh clothes that the hustlers used to wear and shit, and we used to see him on TV. He had one of the illest albums of all time. So I'm a real fan of Nas, but he kind of lost me after the movie Belly and shit like that. Like, I don't.
Man, go ahead on with that, Jim.
I'm trying to tell you, I'm being a fan. I'm telling you, the movie Belly was fire, but after that, he kind of lost me. I think we was way too much into the game.
I'm gonna keep it a stack with you.
Yeah,
Y'all
but look how you dress. Look how you dress. You don't even be in the same places I be in. And the things that we listen to,
I can be in the church house. You can't emphasize lyrics. I don't know who told you that. Now look, y'all know you on that good stuff, but you're not seeing Nas.
Bro,
you're not seeing Nas, bro. Let's be real.
You got a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds in their panties because I said I'm better than Nas.
It don't matter.
Look at you. Look at you.
Nobody from Dipset gonna take you over Nas. Nobody from Diplomats but you.
Hey, he said I could be in the church house. Yo,
Unk ain't going, man.
Unk ain't going. I'm not going. This is delusional
Jim,
talk.
at the end of the day, Jim knows.
Arguments. They had two different arguments.
So let me ask.
He was wrong on both of them.
So let me ask.
He can't. He might not be wrong on one of them.
On what? Billboard?
No. As far as lyrically, sales, all of those things, no, he can't hold a candle to.
Okay.
But if you speak about influence, hey, it's debatable, man.
So we're talking about
alternative reality.
We're talking about
debatable.
We're only talking about fashion wise.
That's it.
Come on, man.
Come on, bro.
But that's big, though.
Okay,
no, it's not.
all right. Let me rewind. Let me rewind. When we talk about Dipset, even fashion wise, we still look at Cameron first.
Yeah, yes and no, because Jim's point is Cam took some of the stuff that Jim was doing. That's what Cam was saying at one point in time when they was into it. You know what I mean? So, like, if that is a thing, I can see what he's saying. And for us, for people of our age,
there was a segment in time. So I'll agree with you. So there was a segment in time where Dipset was very influential, fashion wise, in the rap game, minus the music. No, just the whole biker chain look, all that shit.
That's
Dipsets. Okay, we talking about Nas, the lyricist.
Come on, man.
Even his,
even
if we go into fashion, Nas, you know what I'm saying? He's one of the first people to. The part. Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to Raekwon.
He was wearing Timbs long before them, before they was even out.
Come on, man.
I mean, that's just a New York staple.
I was about to say, we can't give that solely to Nas though.
The big necklace, the big QB pieces, and all of that shit.
We can't give that solely.
Who we gonna give it to?
Everybody had big pieces, man. Everybody's wearing big pieces,
bruh.
That's not.
I can't believe we even have this conversation.
When anybody's comparing anything musically, when you bring up Nas as a rapper, if you ain't talking about rap, you ain't talking about shit.
That's what I'm saying. If we just talking music. He doesn't have a leg to stand on.
But he openly said music.
But in that interview.
As an idiot, he said that.
In the interview that you just showed.
Okay.
He admitted to being wrong when it came to music and Billboard charts and all that stuff.
Let's simplify it. Let's just chop it.
He changed his argument into influence.
I would too if I sound like an idiot.
Yeah, if he's talking music, he does not have a leg.
But let's chop it down though. So what you telling me is Dipset's run that Terry talked about. However many years,
5 years,
about 3 to 5. I was gonna say. I'm talking about high, like elite. Shout out to the Heat Makers.
All right,
okay. 2 to 3. Shout out to the Heat Makers. They're 80% responsible for this, if we're being honest. But you're telling me that 2 to 3 year run with them and the chains and the wave caps and I remember all that. We was outside. You're saying that's more influential than Nas?
No, I'm going to add some more reasons why it's not, because you're not influential. You're not influencing rappers or artists coming up to be good artists and rappers. Nobody ever comes out and says Jim Jones was my influence
at all.
Nas has influenced a whole generation of rappers. So that by itself,
again,
you can't tell me just because you had on a fire ass butter Averex and some dope ass jeans with skulls and crosses on it that was hot for a segment of time that you're more influential than Nas.
Again, you speaking to somebody in our generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people of our age group. There's a whole generation under us that look at Jim like not, and that's who he's speaking to.
No, so I will say this. I did see a young man on a podcast.
Yeah, he was bullshit.
That
too.
was saying he would listen to Jim Jones before he would listen to Nas.
I believe him
and
too.
it's solely based off of his aura or his fashion sense. So
That's what I'm saying.
I
There's a whole generation under us that really look at him like when you talk about, because there's a whole generation of young rappers in New York that gravitate towards Jim. Jim puts his arm around them. You know what I mean? And they really rock with him in that nature. You know what I mean? Like all them new hot New York rappers, they go to Jim. They would go to Jim before they go to Nas.
okay, but Nas has the whole country. He can have that little segment in Harlem.
As a 40-year-old, like you know, talk about people of our age group, yes, but that younger generation under us, the
know.
Playboy Cardi,
There's some young cats that got sense and know good and damn well that Jim Jones ain't.
So you telling me Playboy Cardi, which is one of the probably the biggest artists in the country right now.
What type of artists are going to see Jim?
You think he gonna go?
He's telling you.
You think he gonna go to get a feature from Nas before he go get one from Jim Jones?
He might not. Well, I would have said he can't afford it, but Playboy Cardi got paper, so I can't say that. I don't know, man. Honestly.
He's definitely going to go to Jim Jones first, just because
That's cool.
Jim Jones got his tap on New York.
Okay, but
He
Boy,
sees that as
Hit
the
Boy
end.
just did how many albums
6.
with Nas?
Why he ain't doing with Jim Jones?
Hit Boy is 40 plus years old.
Hit Boy
He
is
is not 40 years old. He is
40
40
nothing.
years old.
Me and Jim Jones are the same
All right,
age.
we
We are
gonna-
both 48
We're going to go to
years
Google
old.
because
Hit
Hit
Boy
Boy
is
is
like
not
20
40
something. He
No, he's
might
not in
be
his
early
20s.
30s.
He's not in his 20s. 38. He's
Yeah,
not 40.
okay.
40 years old.
No,
That's what
he's
I'm
not
saying.
40.
You know what I mean? If Hit Boy is 40 years
Bro.
old, there's a certain generation that he would cater to.
How many albums have Hit Boy and Nas done? 6 records? 5 or 6? He hasn't been 38 for all of those.
He wasn't, but again, that's what I'm
He
saying.
probably was 30 on the first one.
32, 31 years old?
We're not talking about 30-year-olds. We're talking about 25 and below.
I guess my question is, why would Hip, if what you saying is what we talking about, aura and all the swag and relevance, all that, why wouldn't Hit Boy reach out to Jim Jones instead of Nas? If you can answer that, I'll leave you alone.
I don't have.
I know you don't.
I think to be honest with you, Hit Boy probably. Hit Boy, he said it himself. He took messing with Nas as a challenge.
No, I'm not buying that. No,
He said that.
He did.
He
No.
said that.
Said
It was
that.
a challenge
No.
because
I'm not buying
everybody was on Nas' head about
Yes.
Nas having trash beats.
But
So
it's-
he was like, well, let
No.
me get with him and I'll let him give him some of my sauce.
It's a challenge, but he also knows he's a legend. He knows that.
Of course he's a legend, but that's why nobody 25 and younger was listening to him.
No, man. You trying to play me like he said the only reason they did 6 records is because it was a challenge. No, he knows
I'm
who
not
Nas
saying that's
is.
the only reason, but I'm telling you that's why he went to him.
Nah.
Yeah, I mean, he said it out of his own mouth.
He did say that, but that's not the majority of the reason in my
It's
opinion.
not, but I still, even when you talk about younger cats gravitating more so to Jim Jones, I think that's very regional. I honestly don't think that people outside of New York and a couple people scattered here and there are rocking with Jim Jones like that over Nas.
I would tell you
agree.
this much.
I agree.
I would tell you this much. Yes, it's regional because the people outside of New York, they not messing with neither one of them niggas.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that.
Nas did a whole tour.
I don't believe
suited
it.
and booted with an orchestra, I believe.
How many 25-year-olds was going to that
You don't
concert?
know that.
I
You don't
didn't
know
go.
that.
I don't know.
It was a couple years ago. Nas was here with Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
Out at
Yeah, I was there.
whatever they call the arena
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
You know, and it's like
Deer
if Jim
Cross.
Jones came here with
He's going to the vote.
He can come here
Yeah.
with he can come here with Hall and Oates. They going to the vote.
No,
man.
he's going
Hall
to
and
the White
Oates-
Rabbit.
Yeah.
He can't sell out the
He's
vote.
going to the White Rabbit.
He can't sell out the vote. Jim
you
Jones.
just did Hall and Oates dirty.
I
They
played Hall and Oates for
Yeah.
Keith. He take that back.
Hall and Oates is going to be at the
High five.
amphitheater.
I
Maybe
disrespect
he
the Hall and
might.
Oates.
He
You're right.
might get half of the inside high five.
Man, Jim Jones
Maybe.
might do a club
think-
appearance.
I think Jim Jones could get the high five, man.
I can't.
I would hope so.
I don't have a leg in this fight, so I'm gonna let y'all talk. I can't tell you a Nan Jim Jones song.
I never take nothing away from Jim Jones.
He got joint.
Jim
No, let me-
Jones got some
No,
heat.
because one of my favorite joint. Now, mind you, this is 2019. Was the El Capo album. That album was really great.
He got
Shout out
some-
to
he
Fred
got
the
some heat.
Godson. Rest in peace
It's
to
some
him.
mature
There-
rap on that joint. I agree.
But honestly, he's put out like 6 or 7 more records past that, and I couldn't tell you anything.
Byron
that's
know
on
all of them apparently because he got so much influence in over the culture.
Look,
and all that, and wave caps and all this other
I'm not
stuff.
saying that because, truth be told, outside of those albums from the early 2000s, I don't really mess with Jones like that. But
let me ask you this though: you have a son that is around that age, right?
yeah, hell no, you don't mess with no Jim Jones.
Okay, that's where I was.
All
going.
right, that's all right.
But-
all right.
Just because he doesn't live in the tri-state area.
Yeah.
That
If he
and
did, he'd have a vampire belt buckle on or something like that. That y'all,
quiet as kept, he do have one of those bedazzled belts.
it ain't because it's Jim Jones.
That was influenced by him, though.
That is
See?
that's the only thing I get.
Yeah, because they had the skull belt buckles
And the wallet
all that
chain.
stuff.
So
Yeah.
if I the wallet chains,
I
you
used,
right.
I used to rock
You're
wallet
right.
chains and shit.
I'm not fronting on the influence.
True religions.
I'm not fronting on the influence.
I would more so give that to 2 Chainz.
I would give 2 Chainz that, but you talking about with the belt buckles and the chains? I'm with you on that, 100%. I'm with you on that.
Mr. B2 on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the belt buckles, the chains, the wallet joints, I got you. I'm
I'm
The
telling you.
thermal under the t-shirt
come on,
type
come on,
shit.
come on,
Yeah.
come
okay.
on.
I mean,
I'm
okay,
all
fashion wise, yeah.
Cool.
That's
But bro, look,
I'm speaking. So that's all I'm speaking
But I'm
to.
telling
If he
you
got a
about-
leg to stand on, if we talking about influence,
I'm telling you about influence. Like Gobo don't have a skull belt buckle on.
But let me ask you this: when you say like influencer, are you talking about just specifically influence in one particular type of
Yes.
fashion type
Yes.
thing?
That's it.
Because
It can't
influence
be-
in general is different, right?
I can say regionally music maybe
You think?
over there. Yes.
Are you serious?
over there in that the young cat? I'm only saying that because of the young cats, man. You know what I mean? Like even look at Mass Appeal as a record label.
Mm-hmm.
He is going and tapping into older artists
Yep.
just because the young cats ain't really messing with that.
Talking about as far as Nas.
Yeah.
I think the only thing is I have a hard time. Like I can see people not tapping into Nas because he's older. I just have a hard time believing those same people are tapping into Jim Jones.
That's
instead.
the
Of all
part.
people.
Of all people.
But I do
But
agree
maybe
with
I'm
you
wrong
on
because
the
again,
fashion.
I don't really know his music like that.
The fashion part. Here's the thing. And we've said this multiple times on this show. You cannot tell the story of hip hop without mentioning Dipset. I don't care what you say. They had a wave that was undeniable. He's a part of that, so I'm not about to front on him.
This is the thing that's pissing me off. Is like
What I do?
y'all got me capping for this dude. Like for
Oh, you
real, like,
definitely
'cause-
capping.
because I'm not though. Because not capping, but you got me caping for this dude.
Caping.
Because like truth be told, I do not agree with Jim Jones as far as him being more influential than Nas, but he does. He makes a point.
in that one particular part.
In that point in that segment, he has a leg to stand on. I can't take that away from him.
That's fair.
It's just
I feel-
wild when you're a rap artist and your influence is just fashion.
That speaks volumes as to who
That
you
is,
are.
but that's big to certain artists.
It is.
You know what I mean?
aura,
That's,
not really lyrics
swag
or-
rap is a real thing. That's all Jim Jones ever was.
Yeah,
I
ballin'.
can't argue with that.
Yeah, all Jim Jones.
I don't want to
I can't
say
argue
that,
with that. That's what he was, though.
because when
Or
you know,
is.
like I said, El Capo is a record I listen to. You know, and I don't listen to records extensively anymore because I have to listen to so many so I can stay up on what's going on. And honestly, sometimes I just don't feel like listening to hip hop. I'd rather listen to people talk about hip hop. It's kind of crazy. But with Jim, I don't want to sell him short. Like, he's put out good music, but it hasn't connected in the way that like I said, outside of the tri-state area, I just don't have a concept of people getting excited about Jim Jones's music.
I'll give you one more influence, and that would be reality TV show Love and Hip Hop.
Now, if you want to go that route,
But how long ago was that?
I mean, they still talk
set the
about
tone.
it counts though.
He
It
set
counts.
the tone.
I do.
He said that he gave that idea to Mona and she stole it from him.
I don't know about all
Are you
that.
really
but-
out
Look,
here
all
on
I
this
know-
soapbox? For
This is what he said. This
So what
is
you're
going off
saying
he
is
said.
Jim Jones is responsible for bedazzled belts.
Yes, and Love and
And
Hip Hop.
reality TV.
That's not something I want to be responsible for.
he thinks it's great. He thinks it's great.
I'm not saying it's great.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's a whole generation that's all they know.
And they seen Jim Jones on Love and Hip Hop. I'll give them that. I mean, Love and Hip Hop birthed Cardi B. We wouldn't know nothing about a Cardi B without a Love and Hip Hop. So okay, I'll give him those two.
That's all I'm saying, man. There's a whole
There's a lot more beyond that.
I'm not speaking solely for people in my generation. I'm looking at it at the culture as a whole.
Yeah,
No,
because those
we
was
can
kids
speak
that
to
were
his-
watching that. Yeah.
His celebrity and I know that somebody must have wore that vampire life stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually wore his brand, but they definitely jocked his style.
Okay. I'll get, like I said, man, it's so hard when you've been listening to hip hop as long as I have, and somebody say, "Yeah, I'm gonna put Jim Jones right up there with Nas or above him." I'm
that's
Correction,
crazy.
as long as we have, because we all was outside.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there are certain things like musically, I can say, yo, I am a fan of that piece of work that Jim Jones did.
Yeah.
But I just want you to look, Jim Jones, nothing that he has put out is better than the last 6 albums that Nas put out with Hit Boy.
So a lot of
what's
people
And
can be influential.
that is Nas actually doing side missions after he's already beat the game.
Yeah.
So what you telling me, B, and we can close it here. What you
no,
telling
we
me?
can't. I got one more point.
Go ahead. Say
about
I'm
people
sorry.
being influential because
Yes,
when we talk about Soulja Boy is very influential,
he is.
and he hits a lot of those buckets, so to speak. But that doesn't make him better than Nas. I'll just say that, and I'll leave it at that. Go ahead, Mike.
They're not even in.
But I mean, I get into Byron's point. I don't think that's what he's saying.
I know, but
He's still right though. What he said though, Terry. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
Hey,
Hey, look, there are people who are a certain age who would much rather hear Pretty Boy Swag than The World Is Mine. Or The World Is Yours, rather. And I don't care about those people because
He beat him to it because he.
I was just going to say, are those the people
I
that...
don't care.
No, I was gonna say, are those the people that buy gas station T-shirts or try to get into
yes,
Casmo?
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, probably.
and Yums.
Yums. Yeah.
Sorry,
A-Rab was not up next. I also
No,
was
he
just
was
get that
not.
out the way.
Neither
he's
was Jungle
stupid.
Nope.
or Horse.
See, you been disrespectful.
Neither one of 'em.
I'm just saying.
now.
Jungle was his favorite rapper.
Oh yeah.
No, it's Big Psych actually. Rest in peace.
That's his West Coast favorite rapper.
I stand corrected. All right, man. Anything else, man? Before we get out of here,
Say I didn't agree with
because
him
you've
in the
really been
statement.
on your Jim Jones soapbox, bro.
I'm not on this
Vampire
soapbox.
Life and all this other stuff.
I
Like,
heard what he said,
Yeah.
and
I mean, he made valid points as far as what he was influential for. I give him that, but
you
if
compare
we're
it to
scoring,
Nas, bro.
if we're scoring,
he never said he was better than Nas.
he kind of did.
He kinda
He did,
did, though.
not on that clip though.
Yeah.
but previously,
I'm
he
just-
definitely said he's better.
But
Than
well,
Nas.
to my credit, I never heard that because I saw the headline and I knew it was some bullshit. But what I just heard him say, he never said he was better than him.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
you
the
didn't miss that
interview
part.
after the interview.
Yeah.
That's why
He was talking
that's
with
why,
Fat Joe and him. And I don't
Yeah,
listen
that's
to him
why he
either
was on
'cause he
his
like
head.
little girls.
Shannon was
Respectfully,
cooking
I'm
him
saying.
up.
I'm just like, I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know
that's
if that's
allegedly.
true. I don't
That's
know. Joe, don't beat me up.
allegedly.
Don't beat me up,
Yeah.
Joe.
You don't know nothing about that one.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, I just know that why does it look like, Jim Jones gets his hair braided and then brushes it?
Yeah.
I was like, that was unnecessary, but that's a good
Yeah,
question.
swag.
because he's influential.
He like so when it comes to like swag rap out there on that coast, he's one of the fathers of
Do
it.
you notice?
Harlem.
Do you notice that there's the comment, and then there's the second, third, fourth swag rap as it relates to, and then on this coast and that coast, and then at this time zone, and then. Come on, man.
Well, it's blended. It's blended. I mean,
Come on, man.
that kind of style
What about
was
A$AP?
all over the country.
What about ASAP?
Yeah, what about,
Yeah.
ASAP is a child of Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that right there.
But he was heavily influenced by Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yeah, and Pimp C
Yeah.
and UGK.
But Jimmy's in there on that one.
Yes.
I agree. I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Influence.
But Shay, shout out to Jim Jones for not, for keeping it chill when Sierra rushed him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, either way, man, this is Terry's.
Honestly, Sierra deserved that work.
Terry's initial comment about a rollout. Something about the pop. Something coming
going
up.
on. He's
he put out a record.
Well, I didn't
he
hear.
put out a record like months ago, though. I believe.
Byron heard it.
I have not. I'm looking to hear the aftermath of whatever happens between him and Pusha once this album drops, because I hope Pusha has something to.
I would leave Pusha alone.
To touch that man over there.
I would leave.
Pause. Yeah.
Respectfully.
All right, man. Let's end it. Let's end it on that note, bro. It was 100%. NewOldHeads.com for all the education you need this year. If you see it, like it, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, give us a 5-star rating, and don't forget to check our Patreon out where you have the exclusive unedited episodes. We appreciate the support. Love y'all as always, and we'll see y'all next week.
And go buy some merch.
That part.
And eat your porridge.